Hey guys, it's an exciting day. Joying's brand spanking new Android 10 10.1 inch single DIN car stereos. They just released this, so we're going to do an unboxing, and then there will be another video with an installation, and then there will be another video that is a full deep dive review. So stay tuned. Please like the video, subscribe, comment. I will try and answer any questions that you have. And ring the bell icon. That way you find out when I release the next videos in this series. I might go ahead and do a sort of mini Cliff's Notes review and then do another deep dive review, because the deep dives get really long and I know people don't like to stick around for quite that long. So let's crack this thing open. We got our normal box in a box. Boxes in a box in a box. Let's see, what do we have here? Here is the main head unit body. We've got this, which is the LCD, assuming the labeling is right, which I don't know why it wouldn't be. Set that aside. And then what do we have in here? Got some instructions, some other paperwork. It's like a microphone and a couple of extra clips. A generic harness. Got the two USB extensions and a GPS antenna. This unit has an upgraded Wi-Fi chip, so it's got the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. It does not, however, have the 4G LTE radio in it. I know they have some other versions that have that, but this one does not. So we've got a little Bluetooth pairing guide, greeting card, got a basic connection diagram here, and a pretty simple manual. This is exactly the same stuff that came with my other units. Some of the specs on this, I forgot to mention those earlier. This is an octa-core 1.8 gigahertz 64-bit processor. It has 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of flash memory. It's got an interesting processor in that it is dual ARM Cortex A75s and then 6 ARM Cortex A55s to make that octa-core processor. So I'm hoping that the performance will be well improved over the existing one. I imagine graphics performance will be quite a bit better. So this is the harness that they sent with it. This particular unit is generic, so it's not going to be specific to any given car. They do have the harnesses, the vehicle-specific harnesses for purchase, so you would want to make sure to buy one of those for your vehicle when you went ahead and bought this. If you just bought this without that harness, you would end up probably needing to cut this off and then go ahead and get splice that into a snap-on harness that you would get at Best Buy or somewhere. Set the 2 USB extensions. Got our GPS antenna, again with an SMA connector, just like their other units. The the main body and the business end of this unit right here. Looks like any other singled-in unit. These are going to be the holes that you snap the screen into. This ribbon cable will be able to come out so you can place your screen wherever you need to. I believe Joying also sells extensions, so you can move the screen farther out, but you would need to double check with them. Otherwise, it looks like a pretty standard singled-in unit. It's got the basic wiring diagram on it. And then on the back, what do we have here? We have optical out. This unit has optical audio out as well as a coaxial SPDIF audio output. So that gives you a lot of different options if you were to have, if you were to use this with an aftermarket amplifier or probably a processor. So you can get the raw digital audio out. You know, this body is clearly designed to support 4G connection. And so these would be your 4G antennas here, and here would be the cable that came out with the SIM card slot. We've got our antenna, microphone, 2 USB ports, just like the others. There's one, and then there's a second that's a USB on the go. We have our secondary video in. We have our audio RCA outs, the 2 RCA audio inputs, and then here's the digital SPDIF out. Here is the subwoofer out, and then your 4 speaker outputs. Over here, these are our antennas. So we've got these CAN connectors, and I'm not entirely certain. They're not clear as to how these need to be set up. I think that if you have a CAN decoder in the car, you probably need to switch over to have CAN in and CAN out, but we're going to have to try that out. IR, I assume, is for a remote. And then we've got these 3 antennas here. So one of these is going to be your Bluetooth antenna, and then the other 2 are probably the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. More than likely, it supports both 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz, but I can't say that for sure. Next, we've got the included microphone. Nothing too special there. A couple of extra mounting clips. And then the really exciting part about this is this new 10.1-inch screen. The resolution has gone up from previous versions. It is now a 1280 by 800, 16 by 10 aspect ratio. Unfortunately, from my perspective, in doing that, they have also gotten rid of the capacitive touch buttons on the side, at least according to the website and the way the pictures look. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to control volume now without having some buttons on there. It might end up being a multi-step process, especially if you don't have steering wheel controls. This is a beefy screen. That's all metal enclosure. Here are your connectors that will snap into the main body of the unit. And then it looks like they have all of these holes here for adjusting it, so if you need to adjust this up or down to help minimize blockage of things like air vents. This is a beast of a screen. Looking at it, I don't see any sensors for ambient light. So that's a little bit of a shame. Again, they could be there and I just can't see it, but I do not see one there. So to hook this thing up, it's pretty easy. You have your ribbon cable here, and then the 4 connectors. And then this is a latching ribbon cable connector on the back here. So you'll go ahead and you'll align the notch. Plug this in. And then simply snap these connectors into place. And there you go, it's together. This is truly the first power on. I have not turned this on yet. I just got it hooked up to the harness for my BMW, which already has the CAN decoder box, though it's not being used right now, and I have a bypass run in for the ignition turn on. Let's fire this thing up and see what it's like. First impression, that is a much, much faster initial boot than the Intel-based octa-core unit that I currently have. That's impressive. And this screen is beautiful. This screen is absolutely gorgeous. It's very bright. Let's go ahead and... So that is full brightness. I'm hoping that that will be bright enough for in the car in the sun. It's quite bright in my room here. And that is all the way down. I wish that got more dim. This might be a little bit bright in the car at night. We'll have to fiddle around with settings. And what do we have? This looks basically like the existing units, so their launcher hasn't changed. All apps. The interface is definitely smoother. It is definitely smoother, and it looks like Z-Link is gone for Android Auto, and I imagine it was replaced with something else. So CarLink, that is going to be your Android Auto or CarPlay. And I believe this supports both wired and wireless CarPlay, but I don't think it supports wireless Android Auto. So without any permanent buttons navigating around, it looks like you're going to have to swipe down if that disappears, although I believe in other apps this top bar is persistent. The other unit was snappy and it was responsive, but this is much more responsive. It's a noticeable improvement. Take a quick look through the pre-installed applications. It's the main screen that comes on there. We have our Bluetooth music app. I don't have my phone connected, but that's pretty self-explanatory. Their built-in video player. Again, there are no videos. Settings, and I will go through all of these in another video, because there's a lot to dig into there, and a number of those can actually make the device work quite a lot better with a little bit of tweaking. It comes with its operation guide, and this is just a very simple, somewhat rudimentary, but basic guide to how to use this device. File manager. For some reason, calculators on the main screen. I don't entirely understand why that's on the front screen for a vehicle application. Your navigation button, and this can be mapped to any navigation app that you want. Thus far, it hasn't been set yet because this comes with its own navigation app as well as Google Maps. So we'll go and set it up and say we want Google Maps. So now that'll launch into Google Maps. Radio, this is the radio tuner button. I don't have an antenna hooked up, so you won't see it, or so I can't get anything, and no speakers either. This Bluetooth icon right here is your phone, so it's got your dialer, your contacts, recents. If this is anything like the version that is on my Android 8.1, things like recent incoming and outgoing didn't work or were inconsistent. The set option here is where you will configure what it looks like, what the name is for when you're searching for it from other devices. And link is how you would go ahead and connect a Bluetooth phone to it. You could search for it. We'll go into that in a different video. Music, this is their built-in music player. And then we've got Google Assistant. Aux, this is if you have an aux video input or aux audio input, this is how you would get to it. Car info, this only works if you have CAN bus connected, but it will let you find out some basic trip computer information and set up what kind of units you want to be in. CarLink, this is the Android Auto interface. See, control here. Control is for setting up your steering wheel buttons if you have a CAN bus decoder set up. I believe if you get a unit that is dedicated to your car, these will not be available to change. At least they aren't on the BMW. But since this is a generic unit, I'm not sure how that is any different. I'll have to see once I get it in the car. Easy connection, that is your screen mirroring. Equalizer is just about the same and pretty powerful. It has changed a little bit, so this is your graphic equalizer. and it looks like, so they've added this FC and Q. So FC is going to probably, I believe, be the center frequency that this is at, so 30 hertz, 50 hertz, 80 hertz. What isn't on the old one is this Q, and Q is the width of that filter. So whether you have a nice tight notch or it affects a lot of frequencies around there. So you can go ahead and adjust this. Set that back to the defaults. Surround can be turned on and off. And we'll go through what all of these functions do in the review. You have bass enhancement, field, so this is your pan and fade, and bass filter. I believe this is a crossover function, but I'm not 100% sure. We've got a file manager. We've got a gallery, the basic Google search. This iGo app is their built-in navigation app, as well as Google Maps, their built-in music player, the same navigation shortcut, operation guide. I installed Pandora on here. It didn't come with it, and that was to get a feel for the scaling. The scaling is a little better than on my other unit, but that's probably just due to having an 8-inch screen on that versus the 10.1-inch on this. It's something I would like to see improved to give you an option to change the DPI. Because what you'll see is you end up with very, very small buttons, and this goes for a lot of Android apps if you're not using Android Auto or Google Carplay. So they can be difficult to find, especially when you're driving. So definitely would like to see some scaling improvements or scaling options made available. Play Store, radio, settings, which goes through all sorts of things. The Touch Assistant, this is what controls this little floating button right here. This is a pop-up menu. I do not like it, and I did not like it on my other unit. However, because this doesn't have a physical, like an actual home button, where the other one did, I may end up actually wanting to use this. And the built-in video player, Google Voice Search, and comes pre-installed with YouTube. Let's see. And there's sort of a look at the screen. It is a gorgeous screen. There's no getting around it. The colors are vivid. It's bright. Hopefully not too bright. We'll have to see. And I'm incredibly impressed with this display. The fact that you can put this in a car boggles my mind, especially compared to what the options were just a few years ago. So I'm really excited to get this thing installed and see what it looks like. And that's really the basic tour of everything. Because we're on Android 10, right, we can have this these floating windows. So be that navigation or YouTube, you can dock things without them actually closing. Well, guys, that's all we have for the unboxing and the quick tour around the new Joying 10.1-inch Android 10 single-DIN head unit. I'm really excited. It looks like a pretty amazing piece of gear. I'm excited to get it into the car, and I will be doing the installation video, and I will be doing at least one review, but probably, based on feedback from my last one, doing a short review as well as a separate deep dive, in-depth review. That way you can get into all the nitty-gritty of the entire device. Like always, please comment, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Those help me out with the YouTube algorithm, as well as you'll get notifications right away when I'm able to get the installation video for this thing put out, and when I'm able to get the review or 2 reviews put out. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back soon.